guys and girls. Look, listen, recently I hit 4,000 followers on Instagram and 3,000 on YouTube. Now that might not sound a lot relatively to some channels, but for me that's a big deal. So what I did was put a Q&A out on my Instagram story and I answered some of the questions on there. But what I'm going to do now is do a video where I'm answering those questions and going in a little bit more detail. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. Right, question number 1. And now I appreciate that English isn't some of you guys' first language, but I will read the questions as they were given. So, how are you deal with losses? It's a good question. How do I deal with losses? I still don't like losses. Nobody likes losses. You see your account go down in money instead of up, you're going to be like, that's annoying. But I think really it just comes with time and experience and confidence in your strategy. If you know over a set period of time that you're going to be profitable, it gets easier and easier over time to accept those losses. You kind of, there could be a couple of things if you're really struggling to get over losses. It could be that you're risking too much, in which case reduce your risk. What I find has helped me and helped other people in the past is go down to risking like 0.01 lots per trade, and that takes all the fear of execution out of it. You can go to demo, but I think having a little bit of real money, even if it's just pennies or a couple of pounds or whatever, at risk, it helps it to be more real. But yeah, to reduce that fear of losses, if that's something you're struggling with, reduce your risk. The other thing it could be is that you're not confident with the strategy. You haven't tested it enough. Maybe you're using a strategy that doesn't work. Maybe you don't have a very good mentor, or you're not in a good community that's helping you. So yeah, getting over losses, there's a multitude of things. But for me, for now, the best thing has been time and experience of profitability and confidence in the strategy, seeing it play out time and time again. So yeah. Right, another question. Do I do one-to-one? Not currently, to be honest. Basically, what I said on Instagram in reply to this, though, was, you know, if you want to spend money on one-to-one, you might as well join the academy for a month for £59, and you're basically, because it's still quite a small, tight-knit community at the moment, you're basically getting one-on-ones in the small group live Zooms that we do every week. So yeah, you got my attention in there. What's your favourite berry? Raspberry or blueberry are the current berries that I can tolerate at the moment, because I got COVID last June, and since having that, I completely lost my taste and smell for a little while, and it came back, and then it slowly morphed into everything smelling and tasting like something disgusting, like rotten flesh or trash, or just the worst thing you can imagine. The worst culprits are onions, chicken's pretty bad, garlic, peanut butter, coffee, all absolutely vile, all things that I love. And strawberries are gross for some reason, but raspberries and blueberries are fine. A lot of sweet things are fine. But yeah, as a little fun fact, most food tastes like shit to me, and there's no apparent cure, and it's been like that for nearly a year now, so it's great. Would you rather have nostrils on your toes or eyes on your knuckles? Definitely nostrils on my toes. If you've got eyeballs on your knuckles, if you accidentally brush your hand against something, you just take a punch in the eye. If you need to put your hands, like wash your hands with soapy water, you're getting soap in your eyes constantly. You need to be extra careful when handling anything. Yeah, it'd be absolutely mental to have eyeballs on your knuckles. Who would choose that? It'd be good if you wanted to see, if you're at a concert or something, you go like that, and there's someone tall in front of you, you can see over their head. I suppose that'd be a good use for eyeballs on the knuckles. Reasons that fake chalk happens. First of all, what's a fake chock? I assume maybe you mean price comes into a zone, chocks, and then you go to set an entry or whatever, and then price just goes through you, take a loss. Well, on one hand, you're always going to get that, you know, losses come as part of the package, and that's fine. But really, you want to be thinking about, first of all, what's the area you're taking a chock from? Now, if price is just tapped into, say, a 15-minute or a 4-hour point of interest, and you get a 1-minute chock, and you're like, right, I'm jumping in this trade, that's not, there's not strategy there. 1-minute change of character happen constantly, all the time. So really, you've got to refine that area down to a specific point and look for where that chock actually happens, and it should make sense on every time frame. So it's all about refinements, really. Yeah, that's about it for that one. How to choose a strong POI. I've gone into a lot of stuff on my channel about choosing a strong supply or demand zone. Premium and discount is a big factor. You know, did it break structure? Is it refined down higher time frame zone? Does it make sense on all time frames? Yeah, refine until you can pinpoint a little dot that price taps into, gives you a little signal of if it wants to go down or up or whatever. Because you've pinpointed that little area as a likelihood, and you get a reaction from that area, well, it's time to get in. So forecasting these areas and checking points and mapping out your structure correctly. Basically what you're looking for is reaction points. Where's price likely to react, and does it need to get somewhere? These are the kind of questions you want to be asking yourself as you're trading and you're looking at price. Look at reaction points, build the story, as people always say, and always view the market from both sides as well, because there's a story for buyers and there's always a story for sellers. How to make connection between technical and fundamental analysis. I don't use fundamentals much. I check Forex Factory at the start of the day, see what's going on, if there's like CPI, PPI, reminds me if it's NFP, or FOMC that evening, and it kind of explains if price is a bit rangy or whatever that day pre a big news. But overall, yeah, it just helps me to avoid certain price where you might get slippage. But overall, I don't really factor in fundamentals in my trading. Everything that I need to know and everything you need to know is actually within the candles on the charts as it pertains to my strategy. Anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about fundamentals unless that's how you want to trade. How many pairs do you trade? I trade one pair, Euro USD. I only need one pair. I can only really properly focus on one pair. I've been in strategies before that have used up to 20 pairs, and then you have to make a watch list each week of your top 8 or whatever. It just gets really time consuming, mapping out all your different pairs and all that stuff. I moved to a strategy where I used about 4 pairs when I first started, more of an SMC style of trading, but more of a swing style. And then I moved to more of an intraday style where you really zoom in on price using 1 minute, seconds time frames, all that stuff, and that's what I do now. And really to be fully focused and to keep track of what's actually going on. You don't want to go more than 2 pairs. I would definitely not want to trade more than 2 pairs, but 1 pair is actually more than enough for what I do. So yeah, 1 pair for me. How are you profitable with a win rate of 30 to 40%? You really don't have to have a high risk to reward to be profitable with a 30 to 40% win rate. If just do basic maths, okay? So if you have a 30% win rate, you're winning pretty much slightly under 1 in 3 trades. So as long as your winner is a 3 to 1 trade, you're profitable. Is that right? Yeah. That's as low as it needs to be. And when you're trading with a tiny stop loss, like a 1 pip, you're going to catch 15 to 20 Rs on average a lot of the time. No problem. You could be profitable with a 10% strike rate, to be honest. There's been certain times where my strike rate has been very low. I've been through long losing streaks, not so much anymore. I've refined my strategy at this point to not take that many losses, and it's much higher now, my strike rate. But yeah, if you do the maths, you really don't need like a 90% strike rate to be profitable in this game. What is your risk per trade? 0.5%. That's a comfortable number for me to trade with. 1% feels a little bit too much. I know some people do trade with 1%, but for me, I prefer to stay safer psychologically and everything. When you account for commissions and everything, when you're using such a tiny stop loss, sometimes you get slipped a little bit as well, and it'll work out to almost 1% when you're trading a 0.5% risk. So for me, trading 1%, that might work out at almost a 2% risk per trade, and that's just that's too much. So 0.5 is all good for me. A couple more questions will do. How many trades do you take per day? It really varies. I couldn't give an exact answer on that. Probably on average 2 to 3, maybe. Some days I take nothing though. Some days I'll take like, I don't know, 8 trades or something like that. Yeah, probably average 2 to 3. We'll do one more. Let's pick a good one. What would you focus on in the beginning in regards to bar replay or markups or case studies? For me, the answer to this question is markups. But what I would say, the caveat to this, is to have a mentor who also posts markups that you can compare yours to. At the end of every day, end of every session, you want to mark up your trades, and that means showing break structure, where you were looking at the relevant zones that the price tapped into, where there were potential entries. Just annotate, mark up, make detailed notes on everything that happened in price in that day, and that will help you to understand what's going on and show you that the same things happen every day. But you really want to be able to compare this with someone that you trust, someone who's experienced, someone who's profitable and consistent and knows what they're doing. And you want to do yours first and then compare yours with theirs, see what they were looking at, see what you were looking at. That's how you'll improve. You'll slowly start to see things in the same way as that person who you respect and admire and who is a good trader. So yeah, that's exactly what I did, and I feel like that pushed my trading to the next level. I was struggling for a bit, but it pushed my understanding of price, especially on the lower time frames. Doing 1 minute markups after every session, it's part of the magic, really. So yeah, thanks for watching. That'll do ya. See you next time.